Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
For April, in honor of it being our 50th numbered show of this version of the podcast, I wanted to pick something a little memorable with the potential to stand out. And in looking at which Doctors were still available this cycle, the 5th Doctor, surprisingly, leapt out at me.
He doesn't have a habit of doing that for you, does he?
One of my least favorite Doctors, but Chris, I suspect he ranks somewhat higher with you.
Yeah.
But I figured, hey, I can work with this. So for April, we're going to be reading The Tides of Time.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London.
Happy April.
How's it going, Matt?
It's going pretty well,
Yeah.
all things considered. There's no more snow on the ground, so that's something in the plus category. Mm-hmm. And I'm now half vaccinated, so...
Oh, congratulations.
One step closer to freedom.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. I am 0% vaccinated. And who knows? Who knows?
Matt just got his second shot a few days ago as well, so... Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that is good. That is good news.
Feels like we're turning a corner.
Yes. Yeah, and tomorrow gyms open, and also the rule of 6 reapplies, which sounds like something from State of Decay. But
I was going to say The Prisoner, but yeah, that works too.
Yes, yeah, that's true. So 6 people can gather outdoors, and there is much saying, so, oh, you have to remember the rule of 6. I'm like, this is not... It's not like the traffic light system. That's something that you instinctively get. The rule of 6 is something that you have to go, oh yeah, what's that? Yeah. Okay, so yeah.
Slightly easier to remember than Splink.
Yes, I guess. Oh yeah, no, I tell a lie. Yeah, gyms aren't open tomorrow, but you can do outdoor gyms. So my gym, that the membership of which has been suspended since December, is like, oh yeah, if you give us 20 quid, then for the fortnight before gyms can open indoors, you can come and join us outside. Nah, you're good. You're right.
I don't think that sounds like an incentive.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. So what's been happening in the wonderful world of Doctor Who publishing?
I don't think we have any new book news. The covers have been unveiled, you could say, for the Terrance Dicks collection, which is due out in August. Mm-hmm. They have divided a Target logo across 2 spines, and putting them together, it looks rather appealing on the shelf. But other than that, I don't think there's been any new news. But I'm sure between now and when this goes out, there'll be something that we'll have missed. So tune in next month and find out what that was.
Yeah, because I think there's stuff about Time Lord Victorious's final audio bits. I think we spoke about that either last month or the month before.
Oh yeah, those are due out or coming out, and
yeah,
I know the 4th and final Eagle Moss statuette set, which has Brian the Ood and the 10th Doctor in his Time Lord Victorious garb, and a final short story. Those are also due out sometime later this month. So once those 2 are out of the gate, I think that is a wrap on Time Lord Victorious and all 20 or 30 pieces of merchandise there.
Well, though, the interactive theatre show.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yes. Well, at some point, possibly appear.
That is still coming. Someday.
Yes, someday between now and
in the not too distant future. Yeah.
Well, yes. Hopefully not too distant. But yeah.
What do you have for show and tell this month?
Oh, for show and tell. Well, I do have some new Doctor Who fiction. So in March, Doctor Who: The Lonely Assassins was released, which is a computer game available on various platforms, but specifically for phones. and it's a kind of like a found phone game, which is a genre I hadn't previously encountered, and features quite a bit of Doctor Who voice talent. So it features Osgood and also certain members of the cast of Blink, but not that one.
I've been playing it as well. I haven't played that much of it yet, but I was hoping to wait for the Switch version, but the mobile version was so cheap that I was like, oh, I'll just buy it on this. And it really is like, oh, your phone turns into Larry Nightingale's phone that you randomly find. And yeah, it kind of acts as like a sequel or follow-up to Blink, and there's bits you learn. Like, for example, Larry and Sally didn't end up together. He's with a woman named Natasha now, and Sally Sparrow has moved to America, much like the actress. But I've enjoyed what I've played of it so far. It's really engaging and fun, and been following like the blog and stuff, so there's little continuity bits that you can learn through the short stories on their website as well that kind of play into the game. But I haven't put a whole lot of time into it yet, maybe about a half hour or so.
Okay, yeah, I've completed it, and it does get proper creepy. It's very good. I'd go so far as to say it might be the best Doctor Who game I've played. I kind of think the bar for that is not set incredibly high. But
for me, I think my favorite Doctor Who game is probably still Lego Dimensions.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because the Sixth Doctor can ride the Mystery Machine down the streets of Gotham City. I mean, where else can that happen?
Yes, but this is a Doctor Who game that feels most like Doctor Who as well. So
yeah, proper, yeah.
Yeah, it is very good, and it has gone up in price a little because I bought it on day of release, where it was like I think it was like £1.50 or something. But I mean, it's still, I think it's now probably about £3 in the UK. But I would say it is a very solid piece of Doctor Who, and also if you're able to purchase it and everything, that will encourage them to do more.
Yeah, the developer is Maze Theory, so they're the ones who was it The Edge of Time, the VR game from last year, and then I think they announced there's a follow-up game that they're going to be publishing on different platforms outside of the Lonely Assassins game.
Yeah.
The Edge of Reality, maybe, I think is the other title.
Yeah, I haven't played Edge of Time, but yeah, I didn't realise that it was the same people, so it does make me slightly tempted to seek that out, but it would also mean purchasing a VR set, so...
Yeah. And then there's also a crossover with the Sarah Jane Adventures within the game. But
there is.
Fans of the Sarah Jane Adventures might enjoy a playthrough as well.
Yeah, there's lots of lovely little nods, so it's really good. And also, it's quite impressive because it was all done during COVID times. There's quite a bit of actual kind of video footage and cast members, and you just kind of like, blimey, they went to quite a bit of effort for this. This is, I was very impressed.
Yeah, especially for the price point too. It's
oh yeah,
good value. How long did it take you, like, total? Was it like a 5 hour?
Yeah, maybe about 4 hours or so. There was one thing that I kind of got a little bit stuck on, and then when I came back to it, I realised it had sort of set me back to an earlier checkpoint. I was like, oh, okay, fine, fair enough. I'd got into a situation where I couldn't get out. So, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good fun.
Wester Drumlins.
It's good fun.
Very cool.
So how about you, Matt? What have you got for Show and Tell?
So my Show and Tell is the new set of Target books, which I imported from the UK, and they look beautiful, and they showed up in the middle of a rainstorm, and I was worried about them being rather soggy, but I managed to retrieve the package in time, and yeah, I'm just really impressed with them. And I know I've been going on and on about how I really hope Gary Russell had the opportunity to novelize Night of the Doctor, but sadly it is not part of the TV movie collection. But he does sneak in a novelization of it on the inside cover, where he writes a really long blurb for the changing face of Doctor Who. And I'll just go ahead and read it here. The cover illustration of this book portrays the 8th Doctor Who, whose physical appearance later changed after an unfortunate incident aboard a spaceship during the last Great Time War led him to the planet Karn, where after an equally unfortunate encounter with the Sisterhood of Karn and an ornate goblet, he regenerated into a vengeful and embittered incarnation that his future selves chose to erase from history, for a while at least. So we do get Gary's take on...
Yes.
And then he does have a new introduction, which is like a 2021 remix, where he says, this new edition has given him a chance to tweak a few things, including to get costume descriptions correct this time around, some hair colors more in point, correct some geographical errors, and avoid saying that the Golden Gate Bridge goes over a river. All sorts of updates. But yeah, they're all fantastic, and it's just really cool to, apart from Shada, we now have the entirety of classic Doctor Who in Target novelization form. And even Shada, there's the longer length novelization there, but it feels very good to have a complete collection, as it were.
Yeah, which is amazing, because I just remember, as a teenager, I just had the knowledge that it would never happen. Just like the show would never come back. So
I remember even getting from New Zealand, I think it was at the New Zealand fan club that did fan-made novelizations. I still have those somewhere printed off, but it feels good to have the official versions instead. So yeah, that's show and tell. So this is our 50th episode, Chris.
It is.
Hard to believe that we've read over 50 Doctor Who books now, and wow, that's kind of cool. So we're celebrating with The Tides of Time, which is a graphic novel featuring the Fifth Doctor, and it collects stories that were first published in Doctor Who magazine in the early to mid 1980s.
Yeah.
And all of the stories in the collection, bar one, which is, so there's 6 Fifth Doctor stories, and then there's a bonus Fourth Doctor story that the collection concludes with. But all of the Fifth Doctor stories are written by Steve Parkhouse, who is most well known for his work on 2000 AD.
And also, I would say Doctor Who Voyager as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and his 2000 AD work, he works with Grant Morrison and Mark Miller, and he's also worked with Alan Moore, and he's also done some stuff in the Sandman universe. So very prolific, and he's been Eisner Award nominated as well. There was an amazing amount of talent working on the Doctor Who comic strip in the 80s. Yeah, and Steve is very much in amongst those. I know him most as an artist. It's been very interesting to read his writings.
And we do get some of his art in 3 of the issues that are collected in the story. And then the first 2 stories in the collection are penciled by Dave Gibbons, of course, of Watchmen fame.
Yes.
And then he must have left the strip to work on other stuff, because I think this was his last Doctor Who work, unless he's come back. I think this may have been
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is his last Doctor Who work. Oh, no, he's referenced in the Doctor Who storybook of 2007 as one of the great artists of Earth history, which I think is a lovely little nod. But yeah, because like round about the time that he was working on Doctor Who magazine, he was doing work for DC, including working on For the Man Who Has Everything. The Superman classic with Alan Moore.
Fantastic story, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we are very lucky to have had him as long as we did. Interesting side note is that apparently Peter Davison did not care for his likeness. And so after like a couple of issues, he agreed, / I think insisted, that Doctor Who magazine have a photo shoot with him, specifically so that they had lots of different stock images.
Huh. Wow.
Specific for the magazine. And I don't know if any of those have ever come to light.
Huh, like that reference photo shoot.
Yeah, because like there were some, in like the first part, there are some images of the Fifth Doctor that I do recognise, but then as it kind of goes on. But I didn't think it was that off.
Yeah,
I must say.
Yeah, not Dave Gibbons, certainly, but...
Oh, yeah. Further on in the collection.
When it gets to Mick Austin.
Yes.
Then their heads all suddenly grow by 2 sizes.
Yes, and the legs shrink.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Steve Dillon, of course, from The Punisher, being the other contributor to this collection.
Yes, and Preacher.
Yeah, and there's blurbs in the back of the book so we can all find out what they were up to in 2005 when this was published. Yeah. One thing that we haven't mentioned in our previous Panini reviews for Voyager and Ground Zero is that all of the artwork for these collections has been digitally remastered and cleaned up, and I think is slightly larger than it may have appeared in DWM.
Yeah, I'd have thought so.
And unlike some of the other Panini collections we've read, this one doesn't feature any behind-the-scenes recollections or essays.
Yeah, I wonder... Well, Dave Gibbons is probably a fairly hard guy to get hold of. And Steve Dillon, unfortunately, is no longer with us. And I think Steve Parkhouse probably said everything that he wanted to say in the Voyager edition. Yeah. So...
Yeah, and they include the Fourth Doctor little strip that I'm not sure why they didn't include that in the Iron Legion or Dragon's Claw collections, but
yeah, it doesn't really tie in with anything, but yeah.
And the other interesting thing that you would note from like the cover and the description on the back of the book is that there's a real absence of any Fifth Doctor companions. So if you're looking for Tegan, Adric, Nyssa, or Churlo, you won't find them. Or Chameleon. Well, he could be there just as something else.
Yes.
But instead, the Doctor's paired with various comic companions throughout this adventure.
And there is a suggestion as to where these fall in his timeline, which is between Time Flight and Arc of Infinity. Because he's in Stockbridge in a Big Finish audio. And where Nyssa has a romantic encounter with a local, and so it's suggested that maybe the rest of the stories happened there whilst Nyssa is just busying herself.
So we have the one-off story with K9, of course, at the end with the Fourth Doctor. But I wonder is Peri showing up in the Voyager collection? Was she the first classic companion depicted in the comic strip besides K9?
Yes.
Because Fourth Doctor never... Yeah. He had Sharon, right?
Well, I say yes. There is somebody that rocks up in this that looks like Wendy Padbury. Or could be somebody else.
I was wondering who that was. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be Zoe or Sarah Jane, or because the likeness was a little off for me.
Or Patience.
Oh.
Anyway, we will get on to that. So it sounds like we're doing a lot of talking just to kind of, let's get on and just start the book.
Yeah, so let's do that. So the first short story is called The Tides of Time. And this is the first of two stories featuring artwork and lettering by Dave Gibbons. It's a 7-part story that first appeared in Doctor Who Monthly numbers 61 through 67. And do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So we start off with the Prime Mover, who is the universal guardian of the event synthesizer. So I think someone's been watching Logopolis, haven't they? And he plays a discordant note in error. And this musical faux pas causes the time streams of the universe to cross, and it opens a rift through which a demon called Melanceus is able to escape from his other dimensional prison. So that's quite a bit of setup. And meanwhile, a cricket match in the quiet English town of Stockbridge is interrupted when the cricket ball is suddenly transposed with a grenade from an army testing range on the same site 40 years previously. And the Doctor, who was playing in the match, sets off to investigate the time anomaly. It also occurred to me whilst I was reading it that we're pretty much 40 years after the cricket match now.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, right. So sorry for making you feel old. But yeah, he also has crashing into the TARDIS on horseback is a misplaced medieval knight called Sir Justin. And there's a slightly odd bit where sort of Sir Justin's knocked out in his armour, and the Doctor goes, "Oh, I'm not going to drag him into the TARDIS because I might hurt him. Instead, I'll turn on the electromagnetic field and that will drag him into the TARDIS instead." I don't see how that's an improvement, but anyway. Yeah. Yeah, it's the Fifth Doctor. He cares for his companions, but he's possibly a little bit careless with them. So with Sir Justin on board the TARDIS, the Doctor decides to return to Gallifrey, and he connects himself to the Matrix to commune with the high evolutionaries of the cosmos, which include Rassilon and Merlin.
His future self, perhaps.
Well,
or not.
Yes, though this kind of feels like a different Merlin, because this is a Merlin that has had some past history with the Doctor, and possibly not entirely pleasant.
And also past history elsewhere in the Marvel Universe.
Oh, is it the same version?
Yeah, it's the Marvel Comics Merlin that shows up.
Ah, okay.
According to the Marvel Wiki, he's part of Earth 5556.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be that version of Merlin.
Okay, cool. So Rassilon and Merlin and chums tell him that Melanceus, I'm probably not going to be consistent with my pronunciation, but anyway, the demon, has seized control of the event synthesizer and intends to plunge the universe into war. To this end, he has removed the synthesizer from space-time, which creates a maelstrom. Sorry, my pronunciation appears to be all over the shop. Anyway, it creates a storm of event turbulence in the universe.
Yeah, and I was calling him Melanicus, but I think we can call him...
the demon.
Yeah. the opening scene with the grenade being swapped out with the cricket ball, that was very an intriguing start to it. The Doctor kind of hints that he's been in this town for some time. Like, he seems to be, like, the locals have embraced him as well, so he seems to kind of taking an extended holiday. Yeah. Not unlike, parts of Black Orchid.
Yes, there's a definite Black Orchid vibe. Is it here that we see him in the B&B, or is it later on in the collection? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. But when the Prime Mover is playing the theme or whatever, I was trying to look up the notes because they list like the musical notes and trying to see if it corresponded with the Doctor Who theme. Not that good with music to know for sure if that was like an Easter egg or not. But I also wonder if the Prime Mover is a Guardian or an Eternal. Like, if he falls into one of those categories. Similar to the beings that we encountered in this most recent season of Doctor Who, in that story where they were trapped in that construct.
Yes, yeah, and you had the animation. God, that feels like years ago, doesn't it? I was thinking, that's the first season. Like, no, that's second season. It was a decade ago in early 2020.
So then we have the Doctor, his companion Sir Justin, and a shadow construct of the Matrix known as Shade, who kind of looks like a black-suited individual with a utility belt with a giant globe on his head, not unlike was the bad guy in Spider-Man.
Oh, I was thinking Black Manta.
Black Manta,
yeah, from Aquaman. I see what you mean. There is a little bit of... Oh, and I'm struggling to think of his name as well.
Mysterio.
Mysterio, yeah. There's a bit of Mysterio. But for me, he just looks like Shade, because I just... Shade rocks up and reappears. And the very first issue of Doctor Who magazine that I bought had a retrospective on the comic strip in it. I was introduced to Shade and also Sir Justin.
So this is your first time experiencing Shade's origin story then?
It is, yeah.
So the Doctor, Sir Justin, and Shade enter this maelstrom in search of the synthesizer, but are plunged into a surreal dreamscape that takes the form of a malevolent fun fair. Because, of course, we need a crazy psychic carnival in Doctor Who.
Yeah, and it's around about this point where they encounter, where the Doctor running through the fun fair, and he sees this woman, the Wendy Padbury possibly looking like woman, who kind of goes, "Oh, you look familiar."
And that was a thread that they just dropped. Like, it never connected to anything.
Yeah.
I expect a Big Finish audio about it forthwith.
But it does make me wonder whether... I think a fair bit of the Tides of Time collection as a whole was read and bits resurfaced later on in Doctor Who. And I do wonder whether this did suggest patience, the character's patience to various people. Because it's a little bit like when he encounters, is it the War Chief in the War Games?
And he recognizes,
Yeah, you just kind of think, ooh, who are you supposed to be?
Yeah,
so
it is kind of an odd one-off because it never is followed up on directly within this collection. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So the three of them manage to escape, but while the Doctor, Sir Justin, and Shade are sheltering from the effects of the storm, Melanicus uses the synthesizer to instigate the Millennium Wars, which crosses timelines so that different worlds and different time eras are fighting each other for no reason whatsoever. So a lot of chaos.
A little bit like the War Games. So you see Attila the Hun taking on tanks, and it's some very cool imagery, I have to say. So Shade directs the Doctor to a starcraft from Alphras. Yeah, let's say Alphras, which is a guess-out organism of a star system where the planets have been bolted together and set in orbit within a white hole as a testament to the glory of creation. So that's one way, I guess, you can experience joy of being alive.
The white hole, the planets all bolted together.
Yes.
That is included on the inside cover of the collection in full color. And I have to wonder if it was originally presented in DWM that way, or why...
No, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, why we had full color for just those two panels.
Yeah, I know it was reprinted.
Oh, maybe that's why.
So it might have been for that, because when Voyager was originally released as a graphic novel, that was all done in color, but with the Panini collected edition, that's in black and white. So I do wonder whether that particular page is just a lift off from kind of like Doctor Who classic comics, which I didn't read because I couldn't justify it for my pocket money. But yeah, I don't think they've done a good job of the colouring.
Yeah, it does look a little faded.
Yes, yeah. And there's some high evolutionaries there on Alpharas, and they explain that the demon Melantius was exiled from their system when he attempted to lead his people into war. And on 3rd century Earth, Melantius had contacted a despot named Catavoicus, who had previously appeared in the Doctor Who magazine. In fact, I think he'd appeared in the previous story, so Tom Baker's last story. And this Catavoicus introduced Melantius to the secrets of technology and time travel. But before they could conquer the world, Merlin banished the demon to a dimensional prison. And so the Doctor now realises what was going on when he'd previously met up with Merlin. It's interesting that Doctor Who magazine, in the transition between the 4th and the 5th, and also, as we will see later, in transition between the 5th and the 6th, had characters appear in that Doctor's final comic book story that then reappear in the next Doctor's first one. I guess to kind of keep the audience, so the audience know that there's like a common thread or something.
And it's something they carry forward between the 5th and the 6th, too. There's characters that are introduced in this collection that we've already encountered in Voyager.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
The other interesting thing, too, with the introduction of Merlin and Rassilon here is that I think this is the first ever appearance of Rassilon, even before appearing in the 5 Doctors. And he's looking very bearded here, looking more like Zeus than Timothy Dalton or Don Warrington or Donald Sumter.
Yeah.
But I think this is the first visual depiction of Rassilon we've had in any medium.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it must have been very exciting for people to have been reading it at the time. Yeah, and by the time he appears on the 5 Doctors, he's had a little bit of a haircut, but I mean, it could be the same regeneration.
And then this particular story ends with, the high evolutionaries, or perhaps the Eternals of the cosmos, join mental forces to halt time and locate the synthesizer, which is located in a church on a future Earth devastated by the Millennium Wars. There, Sir Justin douses Melanticus with holy water, and as the demon attempts to escape, this leads us to our dramatic reading for the month.
Yeah, so it comes from a previous host of the show. It comes from Sean, who has, I think, done a sterling job of bringing this section to life. So let's have a listen.
Outside in the chill night air, a wheezing, gasping shape hauled itself painfully over pitted stone. Melanticus was climbing the bell tower. But as he reached the top, he found himself confronted by a shadow which seemed to blot out the night stars, a shadow with an orb for a head, and a gun which glittered with its own menacing light. 2 shots were fired. 2 shots found their mark. The mind of Melanticus was plunged once more into darkness and pain. Melanticus screamed, "Arr!" But only the demon's inhuman strength prevented him from falling. Instead, he hung suspended between life and death, between freedom and the dark earth beneath. Sir Justin cried out, There at the window! He seeks to escape by climbing the tower! It cannot be! The beast must die!" In that decisive moment, the knight's blade pierced the demon's heart, driven by the strength of conviction and righteous fury. Then both demon and knight were consumed in a blinding flash. A release of energy that seared the Doctor's eyes and sent him reeling, and it seemed the universe moved. As the Doctor fell into the seething current of time, his eyes and ears were filled with the lasting sights and sounds of the event synthesizer played by its guardian of old, the Prime Mover.
So, Sean, in addition to creating the Doctor Who book club with Eric, which thank you very much, Sean, because we wouldn't be here otherwise, I don't think, had you not started the book club all those years ago. But Sean can currently be heard on the Classic Horrorcast and the Columbo Confab, and he's the founder of the 1001 Movies podcast. Thank you very much, Sean, for reading our dramatic reading this month. So then, as Melanticus is shot in the skull twice, once in each eye by Shade, he falls off the church and, off into the maelstrom that's swirling around it. And just to make sure that he's dead, Sir Justin leaps through the window of the church to stab the demon through the heart and destroy him once and for all. And unfortunately, Sir Justin loses his life in this act of valor, but it does restore the event synthesizer, and the Prime Mover's able to get things going again. And the Doctor awakens back in Stockbridge, the village that he started the story in. And he's uncertain about how much of what he experienced really happened. But he does see a statue of Sir Justin in the church in the village.
Yeah. And having heard people kind of like banging on about Sir Justin, sort of like in Doctor Who magazine, I'd kind of thought that he would stick around for a bit longer than he did. I was not expecting him to die.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what'd you think of this story as an opener?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a lot more kind of like cosmic in scale than I was expecting. So the thing that I did know was going to happen was when they're in a surreal dreamscape, the TARDIS materializes in a bath and there's a giant inflatable duck. Because I remember that image from that issue of Doctor Who magazine that did the retrospective, and I just thought, oh, that's fantastic. And so it had made me excited for the Tides of Time, but it was incredibly hard to kind of get reprints of it. So yeah, I did enjoy it, but I did struggle with matching up all the high evolutionary stuff, like with say the Eternals and the Guardians. Because like, how does this lot fit in with everything? How come this hasn't been mentioned? Or at least not in media that I'm aware of. It was a bit odd. Yeah, it was fun. And there was some brilliant visuals. So Dave Gibbons' work's an absolute treat.
Yeah,
so,
the art in these first two stories in particular are just such a treat visually. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a fun one to start off the collection with. And I'm not sure that I buy the line, "Welcome to Gallifrey, Sir Knight. This is my native planet. Someday when my wanderings are over, I will make my home here." I think the curator might have something to say about that. But it's interesting, too, that the Doctor is still very much the president of Gallifrey, so similar to how he's referenced as such in the 5 Doctors he is here.
Yeah.
And they actually return to Gallifrey later on in one of the other stories, but all the references to him being president were dropped by that point, so...
Yes.
The church that's included looks a lot like St. Christopher's Church in Cheldon Boniface, but is in fact named St. Justinian's after Sir Justin. And the statue of him within the church contains this epitaph, which I thought was rather lovely. It says, "The journey has not ended here, for his spirit claimed by death knell's chime lies waiting still to cross once more a sea of stars and sail the tides of time." So...
Yeah,
nice.
It's rather lovely. But speaking of Cheldon Boniface, it makes me remember that so Stockbridge is a very hard village to pin down because it's said at some points to be in Gloucestershire. And in Time When Revelation, Cheldon Boniface and Stockbridge are both in Norfolk. And I think in Big Finish it's in Hampshire. And in real life there is a Stockbridge in Hampshire. But it doesn't have the River Stock going through it. It has the River Test. And I don't think looks anything like Stockbridge is depicted on the in the comics. But yeah, Stockbridge is one of these iconic Doctor Who magazine locations because the 8th Doctor also revisits Stockbridge.
That's right.
Because I think it's where Izzy's from.
Yeah, Izzy Sinclair is from Stockbridge. And it also features, as you mentioned earlier, in a trilogy of main range 5th Doctor and Nyssa plays by Big Finish. So plays 127 through 129 shows up again.
Yeah.
And are we ready to...
Yeah, let's move on.
The next story is The Stars Fell on Stockbridge, which is a very memorable title.
Yes.
And this is the second of 2 titles in this volume with artwork and lettering by Dave Gibbons. And as we talked about, the final story that he worked on, and this appeared in DWM 68 and 69. And we're introduced to the character of Maxwell Edison, who also appears in the Big Finish audio, The Eternal Summer. And he's played on audio by Mark Williams, a.k.a. Rory's dad, Brian, also known as Father Brown.
Yeah, and I think this is Mark Williams' first appearance in Doctor Who, because this was before...
He was cast in. I wonder if any other actors have played 2 different companions.
Yeah.
So... if you consider Max Edison a companion. I think
Yeah.
Brian certainly was, because he was in
Yeah.
a number of adventures. Maybe Bernard Cribbins, I guess,
Yes.
but that's a stretch.
Yeah, well, I think Bernard Cribbins is less of a stretch than than Mark Williams.
And there's Graham, of course. Bradley Walsh was in the Sarah Jane Adventures, but he was a villainous clown in that one and not a companion.
Ian Marter,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not a companion, but
Well, if we open that door, then, Freema Agyeman and...
yes, but still, it's a rare thing, though. I think it's
Yeah.
probably fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a rare thing.
So Maxwell Edison, he's a Stockbridge's resident harmless lunatic. He's a UFO spotter.
Yes, or eccentric. Yes.
And he would have been right at home in Derbyshire a few months back in Father Time.
Yeah, he would have been, wouldn't he? Yes.
He locates what he believes would have been an alien spacecraft with a dowsing rod in wood next to Stockbridge called Wells Wood. And he's trying to track down this alien spacecraft when he stumbles into the TARDIS and meets the Fifth Doctor. And the Fifth Doctor humors him and scans the sky, and he's surprised to learn that there really is an alien spaceship approaching Earth very quickly. So he takes Max to the alien ship, which appears to be a derelict and deserted. But Max becomes convinced that there's a malevolent entity prowling the corridors. And it's hinted at that Max might have perhaps psychic powers or be especially sensitive to that. Or he could just be making it up. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think it's nice that it's left to the reader's discretion. I do think that Max, I don't think he's got psychic powers as much. I think he has, I think he does have some kind of some sort of delusions or something. Is my general take, but
it is left a little open ended, but I tend to agree with you.
So Max has become convinced that there's this evil entity prowling the corridors, and also I think it's around about this point that they encounter what they think is the physical form of it, and they realise it's an empty kind of like space uniform. And again, this reminds me a little bit of scenes early on in Alien, the movie. So the Doctor breaks into the bridge of the ship, and he inadvertently releases some kind of intangible force that appears to dissipate into thin air. And he reckons that the ship had evolved a life form of its own over millennia of abandonment. And the Doctor realises that the ship's about to kind of crash into Earth. And so he takes Max back to Stockbridge because he knows that the crashing ship will be fairly safe because it will be destroyed by Earth's atmosphere. And so Max earns little respect from the locals when he successfully predicts a spectacular meteor shower, which is due to the alien ship breaking up in the Earth's atmosphere. And we've been speaking earlier about Marvel Comics crossover. We also get a Star Trek crossover here, because the Doctor, when he's talking about the artificial intelligence of the computer, sort of starts talking about computers on Rigel 4.
I was wondering what that was a reference to.
It's got to be, isn't it? The Rigel system seems to prop up in Star Trek original series on a relatively regular basis.
It's also a planetary system in Farscape. This predates that by 15 or 20 years, but
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's just a short two-parter, kind of sets up this entity on the ship and introduces Max. And
it makes me think of Listen.
Yeah, I can.
So I do wonder whether Moffat had this in the back of his head, because I think this is a brilliant little story. Whilst the character of Max did somewhat irk me, because I found him a little bit too kind of like cliched, I did enjoy the mood of the piece. I have to say.
Yeah, I did as well. It was a nice kind of little two-parter. So shall we jump to...
Yeah, let's move on.
So the next story is called The Stockbridge Horror. So we're sticking around Stockbridge here. And this is a 6-part story that is very much a collaborative effort. Steve Parkhouse did the pencils for parts 1 through 3, whereas Mick Austin did the pencils for parts 4 through 6. I wonder what the story is behind that one. And how
this makes me think this is why there aren't any interviews. I think that there may have been problems behind the scenes or something.
Yeah. And this is originally appeared in issues 70 through 75 of DWM. And the artwork here, I feel, takes on a bit of a grittier style. The pencils seem to have more shadow to them, slightly less clean than the artwork that Gibbons had.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Eagle comics of the 80s. I don't know how familiar you would be with Eagle, but sort of particularly there was a long-running comic strip called Doom Lord, and it reminds me very much of that. Some of the latter day bits. So it has a very much a kind of like an early 80s British aesthetic. I mean, it's not unlike things that you would see in like V for Vendetta and this is a very interesting style. Yeah, so the Doctor is still on holiday in Stockbridge. He hasn't learned his lesson, and he's interrupted yet again when he learns that an imprint of a police box has been found in millennia-old limestone at a local quarry, which is a very attention-grabbing start. He soon sort of confirms that the imprint has actually come from his TARDIS, but before he can investigate any further, he's attacked by an elemental being, which is a force formed of fire and fear. So he attempts to escape into deep space, but the being breaks into the TARDIS because it's just hanging on to the edge of the TARDIS whilst it's in space and just kind of like forces its way in, and it possesses the ship. And the Doctor sends a distress call to Gallifrey, and Shade is sent to help, whilst there's a military TARDIS is kind of like standing by to destroy the Doctor's TARDIS at the first sign of trouble. And it's being commanded by this guy called Tubal Cain, which doesn't sound like a very Time Lordy name, but it's still an interesting name, who is a kind of like a very hard-line Time Lord who detests the Doctor's revolutionary personality. So, yeah, it's an interesting setup.
Yeah, and I think this is the first time we see battle TARDISes depicted in any medium as well, something that we've encountered a few times, like in Engines of War and other stories that we've read. And this entity that's clinging to the TARDIS, I mean, so that imagery was very striking and very creepy. He looked like a hooded figure, rather like Cobra Commander. With his
or Sutek. I can't call it a Sutek kind of vibe, but I see what you mean by Cobra Commander. But...
Yeah, and I didn't realize the TARDIS had a full sick bay, complete with diagnostic beds, as depicted in this one. But that's kind of cool. So Shade, having been dispatched by the Time Lords, enters the datascape of the TARDIS computers and manipulates the energy being that's invaded the TARDIS into the Matrix, where he thinks it'll be content at last. And then the Doctor dematerializes the damaged TARDIS, and Kane, this Time Lord who's hunting the Doctor or waiting for him to screw up, is caught off guard and fires a salvo of time torpedoes at the Doctor, and realizes too late that the Doctor's traveled back to Gallifrey to one of its military bases. So the torpedoes, these time torpedoes, detonate above the base on Gallifrey before the TARDIS materializes, kind of freezing the base in time. And it creates this loophole that gives the Doctor weeks, if not months, to conduct all sorts of repairs with no time passing outside his ship. So he has time to heal from his injuries that he's picked up from the last few adventures. And when the time warp finally dissipates, he's arrested and then charged with releasing into Earth's history the elemental being from the ship, which he and Max Edison discovered. So the same creature from our previous story is the one that manifests in this story, which I thought was a nice little tie-in. The force from the ship possessed the TARDIS and took it back to prehistoric Earth, and that's where you get the imprint of the side of the TARDIS in the mud that later gets discovered. And then the TARDIS goes back to the 20th century, leaving the energy being stranded and alone in prehistoric times. And thus the Doctor's responsible for all the death and destruction caused by the being as it journeyed through history, seeking the TARDIS again, at least from the Time Lord's perspective.
Yeah.
Almost like a Skarath from City of Death, in a way, right? Where you have being brought back to the beginning of time and then kind of seeded throughout all of human history.
Yes, there's a bit like that. Also, isn't Vandal Savage a bit like that in DC Comics? Yeah.
He's an immortal who's been around for,
Yeah.
And Shade, for reasons of his own, destroys the imprint of the TARDIS in the Stockbridge quarry. And since he's able to do that, the Time Lords have no evidence to prove their case without this fossil, I guess. So the Time Lords are forced to release the Doctor.
Yeah, so this feels like incompetence, because surely can't they go back before he destroys it and just
Yeah.
take it as a reference point or something?
And this is, halfway through is where Mick Austin takes over penciling, and there's a noticeable
Yeah.
shift in the artwork. And
Yeah.
the disproportionately large heads reminded me of like a video game hack or like an Alice in Wonderland illustration.
Yeah, it's a look, isn't it? I enjoyed large bits of this. Like the elemental being, I found very creepy. But it did feel like this was all kind of like resolved incredibly neatly. But also, it almost slightly undermines Trial of a Time Lord, because like
Yeah, they do a mini trial, yeah.
Yeah, because like the Doctor should have gone, what, again? But
I like the idea of the time torpedoes and, the Doctor creating a localized loop out of that, but I didn't buy that the base he showed up in was undefended, because it's like, it's on Gallifrey. What about the transduction barriers? Like, these random time torpedoes just materializing and hitting the city. And then all the earlier references to Lord President are completely gone, so you have him put on trial with no mention of his title. And then I thought it was kind of funny that as he's taking these weeks or months to rebuild his TARDIS, that he rebuilds the console exactly the same as it was before, rather than the redesign he would settle on, between the King's Demons and the Five Doctors. So I thought that was funny just in retrospect.
yeah, which makes you kind of think, rather than taking weeks, it might have taken years, because like Shade's, we don't know quite how much Shade ages, and I guess he didn't have the luxury of that with Tegan or presumably Turlo. We don't know what Turlo's lifespan is like. And again, it kind of like strongly hints that all of this happens before the Five Doctors.
And again, striking imagery with the character, the entity attached to the exterior of the TARDIS, and I was outraged when he climbed to the top of the box and he smashes the lamp on top, and that's how he gets into the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And then there's a random Spider-Man cameo
Oh yes, I'd forgotten about
just
that.
showing
yes.
up in one panel, and it's like,
Yeah.
what? And I did like the bit of dialogue where I think, is it Shade that mentions to the Doctor something for the time being, and then the Doctor ruminates on that phrase, for the time being. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
So, anything else you'd mention about this one before we...
Yeah, it's good fun, but I think you can tell it's being written by artists. Just because the depictions are great, but I'm not entirely sure that the plots make much sense when you step back and have a think. But,
yeah, when you step back and look at the plots, But the imagery,
the imagery are fantastic. But also then again, just thinking back to the last collection we did, Ground Zero, and Gary Russell's contribution to that also didn't make a lick of sense, and he's a writer rather than an artist. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Steve Parkhouse. But yeah.
So,
right, so
next up we have Lunar Lagoon.
yeah.
This one is also written by Steve Parkhouse. It's a two-parter with artwork by Mick Austin, and it appeared in issues 76 and 77 of DWM. And
Yes.
we finally get away from Stockbridge, but the Doctor's still on his vacation, so he decides to hang out at a deserted island in the middle of the South Pacific. And lots of lounging around, and he's fishing, and still no sign of any of his regular companions. But given the crowded TARDIS he's dealing with, who can blame him?
Yeah.
So,
So the Doctor, as we know, is wanting to kind of like relax, and he's in a South Pacific island. He's having go fishing, all that kind of thing. He understands that he's in 1983 because obviously, TARDISes tend to appear around the time in which material it's being printed and set. So he's somewhat surprised in 1983 to be captured by a Japanese World War II soldier called Fuji, who insists that the war is still being fought. And Fuji claims to be an advanced scout sent to survey the island for his unit. But then an aerial dogfight breaks out over the island, which is proof that the fighting has actually reached this area already. And the Doctor realises that Fuji is in fact a deserter.
And there must be something off with the TARDIS translation circuits, because the dialogue is very stilted when it comes from Fuji.
Yeah.
Kind of a not so good way. Looking back
Yeah.
on it, it's just a little cringe.
As is the art,
Yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Fuji is injured when an American bomber strafes the island, and the doctor attempts to nurse him back to health, but the Japanese soldier is delirious, rejects his help, and stumbles off into the forest, determined to prove that he's a proper soldier. And one of the American soldiers, as part of the bombing raid, has been shot down and parachutes to safety on the island. And when the two soldiers meet, Fuji shoots first, trying to kill him. But the doctor, having earlier been worried about his mental state, had removed the bullets from his rifle. And so Fuji fires and you hear the clicks, and then the American soldier shoots Fuji dead on the spot. So rather shocking turn of events.
Yeah.
And I thought this would have been one of those stories where, it's the Japanese soldier's been lost on the island for years and was headed into that direction. But then when the Americans showed up and started bombing everything, I was like, oh, nope, we're back in the middle of World War II.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, the doctor's directly responsible for this guy's death here.
Yeah, yeah. And also, the doctor doesn't tend to remove bullets from guns, does he, that often?
I don't think so.
Yeah. It's interesting that the TARDIS wiki for this story describes Fuji as the villain, and I don't think of him as the villain.
Yeah, not at all.
I think of that soldier as the American soldier as the villain.
Yeah.
I think Fuji is somewhat... Yeah, he's. I feel sympathy for him, almost despite the depiction of him, rather because. Oh gosh, see that. I mean, it's.
Yeah, the artwork here is.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? It's not good. Yeah, it's not how this story would be done if it was done now. I don't think.
Yeah. And this American soldier turns out to be GI Gus Goodman, who
Yes.
is maybe the villain of the piece, but now he's the doctor's new companion.
Yeah.
So we begin a new six-parter called Four Dimensional Vistas, which, again, artwork by Mick Austin, and this collection appeared in DWM 78 through 83, and it picks up right where the last one left off, with the American soldier confronting the doctor.
Yeah.
But there is a bit of a continuity error here, though, because the doctor has swapped his helmet that he was wearing in the previous story for his traditional hat that the Fifth Doctor sometimes wears.
Yeah, because he hasn't had time to pop into the TARDIS, so... yeah, quite where he's got it from. But he's got some, he has capacious pockets, so maybe.
It might be a trick of the Fifth Doctor, because he was also able to spontaneously turn the Fourth Doctor's boots into shoes between Logopolis and Castrovalva, so
yeah,
maybe he can turn helmets into hats as well.
Maybe he also has some magical celery factory in his pockets to stop him from going off.
Yeah. So this one starts off with the doctor still being held at gunpoint, but hearing the accent, the pilot assumes him to be part of the British Secret Service. And the doctor's puzzled that a war he thought was long over is still being fought. And the pilot tells him that it's in fact 1963, not 1943 or 83 as the doctor was thinking previously. So the doctor realizes that he's on a parallel world, which I don't know how he came to that conclusion, because I would have maybe thought, my first conclusion would have been maybe time's been altered and I'm in a different timeline. But the doctor's thinking, no, parallel world. And in a sudden mood of confusion, feeling adrift in time, the doctor just randomly walks into the sea. And not being able to swim, he has to be rescued by the pilot, who takes him back to the TARDIS and is astounded by, the interior dimensions. And the doctor offers him a way out of the war, though he hints darkly that the time travel that he's offering could end up being more dangerous.
Yeah. What is it with the Doctor and kind of like companions trying to kill him, particularly this Doctor? Because like Turlo, I don't know when this storyline would have been printed or anything, but I mean he's slightly Turlo-y, isn't he?
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, in terms of his disposition.
Yes. Yeah. He looks more like David Niven, doesn't he?
Yeah. He looks a bit like Errol Flynn as well, with his kind of thin mustache.
Yeah. Yeah. So Gus Goodman, as his reward for shooting a Japanese soldier who I'd come to quite like, is taken on a trip across the wonder of the universe. So that's fair, is it? So back near Earth, the Doctor talks to him about the existence of countless parallel universes. Below them at that moment, a British airliner has been shot down by a beam of energy above the Arctic Circle. And said beam of energy has come from a gun fired by an ice warrior, though the ice warriors have got the gun from a renegade Time Lord. It turns out that there's an ice warrior base up in the Arctic Circle, protected by a temporal shield, which has been causing the parallel worlds that so confused the Doctor. It's like, that is quite the side effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd thought other people would have noticed this as well. Like, what a Torchwood and unit up to at this stage. So the Doctor manages to manoeuvre the TARDIS through the shield and lands on the snow, only to take a direct hit from the energy beam, and so he immediately dematerializes.
And this was quite the image, because it looked like this beam of energy sheared off like the top third of the TARDIS into like molten slag, and it was just guess what, that was not the case, and the shell was able to reconstruct. But that particular panel did leave me gasping a little bit, like oh my gosh.
Well, also, round about this time, TARDISes had a habit of being destroyed, didn't they? Like, fronting us. So.
Yeah. So at the same time that all this is going on, a supersonic aircraft takes off from a secret base in Scotland, part of an operational unit known as SAG-3 or SAG-3, and it flies to the Arctic to drop a probe. And as the long Arctic night closes, the TARDIS rematerializes, and the Doctor and Gus head to a ridge where they see the Ice Warrior base from a distance. And then they hitch a ride on a passing motorized sled, and they find themselves deep within the base. And they see that the Ice Warriors are dropping something down a deep shaft that goes down like 30 miles into the ice. And the sudden materialization of a TARDIS near the shaft makes Gus cry out, and a guard shoots at Gus with one of his sonic weapons, and the Doctor's hit by flying rock fragments, and Gus flees out of the base, but the Doctor's captured.
So, yeah, all rather dramatic, and not least is the revelation that this renegade Time Lord is none other than the Time Meddler. Not the meddling monk, the Time Meddler. Or the monk. No, I mean... Yeah, it's the same guy. I mean,
He's upgraded his name to the Time Meddler, which...
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, trying to think what Big Finish uses. I think they just call him the Meddling Monk, don't they? I don't know.
Or is it even just a monk?
Yeah. But yeah, he's the Time Meddler here, which,
yes,
fair enough.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, certainly when he rocks up in 90s novels, and possibly noughties novels as well, he is referred to as the monk. Mm-hmm. Certainly is never called the Time Meddler. But anyway.
What I don't understand is, so this other TARDIS that materializes, distracting the Doctor and causing Gus to cry out, why does the monk's TARDIS exterior look exactly the same as the Doctor's? Like, I was trying to think, like, back to the Time Meddler or to Dalek's master plan, and thinking, like, did the exterior shell ever look like the police box? And I don't think it ever did.
No.
I don't understand why they went down that path here.
Yeah. Because it's a cool image, I guess. But it's a cool image being drawn by Mick Austin, so it's slightly out of scale.
One thing I did really appreciate was the illustrations of the Ice Warrior and the monk in the snow are just really on point. They're fantastic.
Yes.
And they're very reminiscent of Alfredo Alcala in some of his like Conan work, especially how the Ice Warriors were depicted.
Yeah.
But then we jump to other panels where everyone has a big head and narrow shoulders again.
Yes.
And it's just very strange and jarring because it's almost like the two panels were drawn by different people. It seems weird to me.
I get the feeling there were a lot of time pressures, possibly. Because I mean, it's frustrating because there are some panels, as you say, it's like some panels are brilliant, and it must be hard doing a strip on a monthly basis where you're the main artist and because also I can't imagine Doctor Who magazine would be paying a lot.
Yeah.
So they'd have had other work to be doing at the same time. Yeah, I think I might be being a little bit harsh, but so to say, the Time Lord is the Time Meddler, and the Doctor drops a device down the shaft that removes the temporal shield. And outside, Gus meets SAG free men. I'm not going to say SAG free sounds rude. But,
the pseudo-unit soldiers.
Yes,
That's basically what they are.
Yes, yeah. Units on holiday. And discovers that they're highly trained soldiers with a telepathic bond And these three soldiers eliminate the perimeter guards and manage to infiltrate the Ice Warrior base. And they come across the Doctor suspended over a pit. And the Ice Warriors shoot and injure one of the men. But as they close in on the others, the Ice Warrior leader, who's called Ortek, orders the launch of his ship. This is, as it turns out, the top of the base, and its launch incinerates the Ice Warrior ground troops. Oops. And the not unit soldiers shoot the Doctor's bonds to save his life. And Ortek and the Time Meddler use a TARDIS to travel 5 million years into the future. Yeah, so Ortek's a bit callous, isn't he? Yeah, sacrificing his own men.
And the TARDIS they travel to the future in, of course, is the one that looks like a police box as well, but no relation.
No. Maybe it was next door.
Yeah, or maybe the monk's TARDIS, when it appeared, it's like, oh, here's another TARDIS in the vicinity that looks like a police box. Maybe I'll also adopt its disguise, thinking it's a common one. I don't know how the chameleon circuit works, but that's my headcanon.
Or could it be the Roof Doctor's TARDIS?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, because that's set as a police box for reasons we don't quite understand. So
true. Maybe it's another default setting.
Yes.
The TARDIS can look like a shapeless gray capsule or a police box or something else. Oh. So on board his own TARDIS, the Doctor tells the SAG-3 psychic soldiers that the Ice Warriors were dropping superheated silica down the shaft, and cooling this over millions of years creates huge crystals that can be used to make a sonic cannon capable of erasing a whole continent. So literally the Ice Warriors' plan was, we're going to create this deep shaft so we have enough pressure from the Earth to transform silica into crystals. Not quite as a brazen, crazy plan as the Daleks hollowing out the core with an engine, but pretty close.
Yes. It's a bit like, reminds me a tiny bit of like Superman 2 and some of Lex Luthor's plots.
Oh, so, ruler of Australia.
Yes.
Oh. So the Doctor reveals that his whole mission to Earth was a voluntary one, instigated by his superiors to investigate this possibility. So it turns out the Doctor was undercover in Stockbridge all this time, investigating the Ice Warriors and meddling Monk. But, here's the first we've heard of it.
Yeah, it sounds like he's telling a lie, doesn't it? Or I'm not sure.
Yeah, it does seem at odds with... It puts the context of the previous stories in a different category, I guess. But so with some adept flying, the Doctor chases the Time Meddler back to the Ice Warriors' mothership, kind of a TARDIS chase, and materializes in the same place but a microsecond earlier, ahead of the Monk.
Yeah.
And rather than materialize inside one another like you would see in Logopolis,
yes,
this instead blasts the Time Meddler into another dimension and destroys the spacecraft and its deadly weapons. So the Doctor returns the psychic soldiers back to their base in Scotland, and he declares that his time on Earth is done, and he just needs to get Gus home now, which I don't know if Gus even has a home, if he's from a parallel Earth that's still fighting World War II in 1963, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and also as well, one of the soldiers says, "Oh, nice guys, it's a shame that one of them's going to die soon," which is a bit like in the RTD era. Yeah.
Fort Knox, sort of.
Yeah. Again, I am sure that future showrunners were reading this. So yeah, what did you make of this?
A little bit all over the place. I liked the Ice Warriors design and some of the imagery there, but the plot itself I thought was a bit of a mess for this one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It was really
bizarre.
Yes, yeah. I think it just needed a little bit more drafting. But the weird thing was, I remember hearing people rave about this. So I guess like in the playground, if you were, if this was coming, I think possibly for us, it suffers from us just reading it all in one sitting, rather than having kind of like months in between.
Yeah.
And also, it would have been very cool to see, the Time Meddler reappear. So, yeah, I think possibly it's one of these things that, when it's all put together in one collection, you just look at it and just go, really?
And you get that sometimes with like
Yeah.
weekly comic strips, collections of those too, where once you can read the whole story, panel after panel, it kind of falls apart, or you have all these unnecessarily little cliffhangers that show up and kind of skew things sideways. And it's, I think it does suffer a little bit from being collected and read at once, which...
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because you kind of get the feeling that I think Steve Parkhouse and Mick Austin are somewhat making this up as they're going along.
Yeah. And this leads us to our last Fifth Doctor story, but penultimate story in the collection.
Yes.
The Moderator, which is a 3-parter
Yes.
presented in DWM 84, 86, and 87.
Yes.
But not in issue 85,
Yeah.
which is when DWM went from monthly to magazine. Issue 85, I looked it up, it was a reprint of a unit backup story with the Zygons. So they tossed that in to break this one up randomly.
Maybe that was to pad it so that... Because I think Colin Baker's run begins with 88, and just to make sure that...
It times out, yeah.
Yeah, it might have been something as simple as that. But also, maybe there were some production issues here.
So we open with the Moderator. He's like a bounty hunter.
Yes.
Cruising the galaxy with a cool millium in platinum ingots from Intravenous Inc., instructed to track down the TARDIS. And he casually wastes exotic life forms and temples while the same tune is playing over and over again in his head. And we see a zyglot floating in space, which I think are the same species that we later encounter in Polly the Glot in Voyager.
Indeed they are. I got really excited when I saw that rock up. Yeah, because I'd never read The Moderator before. I mean, I knew from reading Voyager that the Doctor had encountered zygots before in Doctor Who magazine, but I was somewhat surprised to discover that it was in the Fifth Doctor's final story.
And we should say, too, that this one's drawn by Steve Dillon instead of Mick Lewis.
Yeah, so we get actual bodies and Steve Dillon's art I'm very familiar with from Preacher. But I mean, it's not quite this... I don't think it's necessarily the same style as you see in Preacher. But
the Doctor and Gus land on a planet called Celeste, where a group of high-tech soldiers called Gaunts, and these Gaunts have helmets that look half like Mandalorian helmet design, half Punisher logo design.
Yeah.
Then these Gaunts are pursuing them for breaking curfew, and they only just escape in time down a tunnel leading underground. And it turns out Celeste is a mining planet owned by the mega-rich entrepreneur J.W. Dogbolter.
Yay!
So we think this is Dogbolter's first story.
It is,
and we see him again in Voyager, of course. And he's kind of a frog-like creature, biped, the most evil being in the universe.
He is very reminiscent of the Danger Mouse villain, Baron Greenback.
Yes. Yeah, now that you say that, it's totally, very much so. Wow.
Danger Mouse, I think, was on air around about this kind of time. So I think there's quite a lot of Greenback DNA in Dogbolter.
And Dogbolter's here to supervise stopping a revolt by the moles, who are men working in Celeste's ruby crystal mines. And his weapon is a combat robot called the Rekka, which is Wrekka. The Rekka. And this robot, which is armed with 300 different weapons, is also unfortunately brain damaged and is on the fritz. But it still is able to track down the Doctor and Gus and arrest them as ringleaders of the mining revolt. And when the Doctor admits he arrived in a time machine, Dogbolter's greed is aroused because, after all, time is money. It's revealed that the moles are intravenous company men who have displeased their boss, and the Doctor's being interrogated, and the moles attack Dogbolter's office, allowing the Doctor and Gus to retreat back into the TARDIS. And that's where the Moderator's called in.
So, the Moderator, that's not really a name that strikes fear into me. To say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I think somebody watched the Terminator movies, and because it's a weird mashup, this, of Terminator and also kind of like Mos Eisley, and that kind of vibe.
The Rekka robot, the design of that reminded me quite a bit of the main villain in Silverhawks, Monstar, with his spiked head, but this predated that.
Okay, so 3 weeks later, the Moderator tracks the TARDIS to Earth. Yeah, so he's a hard-working but not necessarily fast assassin. And the TARDIS is on Earth because the Doctor is dropping off Gus on a Pacific island. It's not Gus's native timeline because Gus's timeline doesn't exist, but, you know, hey-ho. What do you do with a murderous soldier? So the moderator makes an attack, running across the sand and shooting Gus, who manages to return fire. And 3 bullets hit the moderator, whose armour is made to deflect high-energy weapons, but not lead bullets. Feels like a design flaw, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So as he falls, the moderator realises that a song that had been plaguing him over and over in his head was "We'll Meet Again," jammed on repeat on his headset. But Gus has been shot, as we know, and Gus dies. And the Doctor picks up Gus's gun and puts a bullet into the headset of the moderator before leaving. And the seriously injured moderator is taken to a hospital where he's given a private ward. And there he's visited by Dogbolter's aide, Hob, who switches off the life support system as payment for the moderator's failure. So this is a really downbeat ending for the Fifth Doctor's adventures in the Doctor Who
Comic run, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the moderator gets shot by the Doctor and
Yeah.
lives, but then is killed in the hospital by, like you said, one of Dogbolter's kind of robotic lieutenants.
Yeah.
And Gus also dies, and then it ends with Dogbolter still on the lookout for the Doctor, and of course he'll catch up with him again in Voyager.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it ends with, so you've got Sir Justin dying, you've got Gus dying, at least you have Maxwell Edison living, but it does kind of lessen the impact of Adric's death on the Fifth Doctor when you have so much death here.
Yeah, but it's also quite nice that the last word of the Fifth Doctor's last comic is goodbye.
Yeah, that is.
That's what Hobbes says. But so it feels like the end of an era, slightly weird era.
I was surprised at how interconnected all the stories were. It really did feel like one long story, and you have Stockbridge underlaying, most of it too.
Yeah, but it does also feel like everything's all just being kind of like made up on the hoof. It doesn't feel like there's a master plan here.
Yeah, it's not like Ground Zero where things were carefully seeded ahead of time. This feels very much like on the fly, sort of. Yeah, got to get the issue out, sort of thing.
Which I'm sure very much was like the nature of doing like a monthly publication. But yeah, I do enjoy some of the bits of craziness in this, and. I don't think the moderator is my favourite of the strips, but I did enjoy it a bit better, or a bit more than Lunar Lagoon or Four Dimensional Vistas.
Yeah, I think those two are probably the weakest in the.
Yeah. And I must say, I'm not sad to see Gus die because I really didn't care for him.
Yeah, but we have a bonus story, so this is Time Slip. A two-parter by Paul Neary.
Yeah.
And this is back from issues 17 and 18 of Doctor Who Weekly, so back in early 1980.
Yeah.
And I actually read this one first.
Oh, okay.
Before the other ones, just because. And it takes place shortly after the Doctor leaves Romana in E-Space. And the TARDIS encounters a giant amoeba-like creature which feeds on time energy and begins to consume the TARDIS itself. And then time reverses within the TARDIS as the creature feeds, which causes K9 to disassemble into his component parts and eventually just, a pool of metal on the floor, which is very sad. And while this is happening with time moving backwards, the Doctor regresses back to his first incarnation, going through the third and second Doctors as well.
Yeah.
And eventually, the TARDIS reaches the moment of its activation, and beyond that point ceases to be a time machine. And the creature's confused and weakened by this foreign body within itself, and the Doctor is able, by flipping the on and off switch of the TARDIS several times, becomes enough of an irritant where the TARDIS is expelled by the creature, and time again begins to flow to normal. So
yeah, that
was just kind of, like I said, a short little story, but what'd you make of this final one?
Yeah, it was odd, wasn't it? If we'd read this 2 years ago, I'd have enjoyed this more. But because I really enjoy some of the recent revelations of the Doctor's timeline that doesn't really mesh nicely with this, because you don't suddenly see the Doctors and the brains of Morbius appear. It's odd, but yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of fun. It's the kind of story that in those days you could only really tell in the comics. Interestingly enough, there is a book that we haven't read that also uses retro regeneration.
Huh. Interesting.
So, yeah.
I kind of like that concept because retro regeneration or regression, I've often wondered what a story would be like with that, where, say, like, the Sixth Doctor reasserts his personality overwriting the Seventh's, for example.
Yeah.
Especially if you read into some of the Times Champion stuff where, the Seventh Doctor potentially killed the Sixth Doctor, in a Mindscape sort of deal during the events of Time in the Rani. But it does feature some kind of odd artwork in that you can you tell like what photos he's copying from.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's this publicity photo and that one. And we do get visions of past adversaries, including Cybermen, Daleks, the Master Mavellans, Ogrons, and Zygons.
Yeah.
And it ends with a puddle of the amoeba left on the TARDIS floor, which the Doctor steps in and then blames K9 for. So there's that note that it ends on.
So the artist for this is Paul Neary. It's a name that you might not necessarily know. However, he's won an Eisner, and he was the inker on the Ultimates for Marvel.
Oh, cool.
Which was used as the basis for the MCU's version on the Avengers.
Wow.
So, yeah.
This is also the first DWM appearance of the first, second, and third Doctors in the comic strip in any form.
It would be, yeah. Yeah.
And the first multi-Doctor story in any medium since the Three Doctors.
Yeah, and the writer for this is Des Skin, who was head of Marvel in the UK in the 70s, and described by some as the British Stan Lee. I'm not entirely sure that's...
A little bit of hyperbole there,
yeah. A bit of hyperbole there, but yeah.
Interesting. Your point about, how this doesn't really comport to later continuity... That kind of bugged me a little bit too, because from what we've seen depicted on the show, the Doctor very much stole an old, used, broken down ship from a salvage yard, versus here remembering a shiny new TARDIS that he was responsible for turning on for the first time in the first place.
Yeah.
So that just didn't mesh with continuity anymore.
Yeah.
But so that's the entire collection.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you make of this collection?
Of the 3 Panini graphic novels we've read, I think it's probably my least favorite. It didn't feel exceptionally Fifth Doctor to me. It felt more like generic Doctor throughout.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't, there are no regular companions and he's just kind of reacting to everything. And I mean, it was okay overall. It felt uneven. The stories, definitely are suited for the comic medium. They're bright, imaginative. The guest characters were interesting enough, but it felt like less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
I guess I can see why Stockbridge is kind of a famous location, and it does make me want to like check out the audio that Max is in, from Big Finish. But yeah, what did you think?
Well, it's interesting you're saying that the Doctor is reacting to things here rather than being kind of like proactive. Because the Fifth Doctor is a bit like that on telly, isn't he? Like things happen to him. But yeah, for me, this isn't as much the golden era as what immediately follows it. Like, with Voyager and the other Sixth Doctor stories.
It feels like a lull between Iron Legion and Voyager, almost.
Yeah.
If those are like the peaks of early Doctor Who and comics.
Yeah, which is a shame because there are some interesting ideas. There's some interesting visuals, and clearly it's beloved because Shade and Stockbridge reappear time and time again. Shade was in some of the Capaldi era Doctor Who magazine comics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it makes me even more excited to read those two. Oh.
And also Shade appears alongside the Eighth Doctor as well.
That I did know about, but
these are great concepts, but I just wish I could engage with the stories more. And I thought we would see more of Stockbridge.
Yeah,
I have to say.
Yeah, I was hoping for that, and it felt to me too that the plots were a little repetitive. where you have like a crazy or mad assassin on the Doctor's trail.
Yeah.
And he has to stop them, whether it's Melanicus, the entity from the spaceship, or the moderator.
Yeah.
That seemed like rinse and repeat quite a bit, and just a lot of gunplay and violence. So
Yeah.
in that sense, it kind of fits in with the Eric Sayward era, but not necessarily, in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wished for more with Stockbridge. Like, you
Yeah.
could have developed other characters in the town and, had more of like a village sort of, almost like revisiting Amy's village, Ledworth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can definitely see seeds of it in Sheldon Boniface, where I think Paul Cornell does go on, and when we revisit that village over time, we do see other characters, and we see an evolution of the place, and you get a real feel.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Stockbridge just feels very generic. I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if it were told it's the Kralls all along. It's...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dearie dear. I think I'm slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I just remember that image of the TARDIS and the rubber duck, and just thinking, that must have been a brilliant story. And I remember as well, like in Doctor Who magazine in the late 80s, I mean, the fans were pillaring the show, they were pillaring the comic strip. I mean, sometimes just thinking back, no wonder the BBC cancelled it. Yeah, and people were saying, some of the Sylvester McCoy stories don't hold a candle to like the Tides of Time. Mm. Yeah, and the Seventh Doctor did have some ropey comic eras, particularly when he was actually on telly.
Yeah, if you give me the choice, do you want to watch season 24 on Blu-ray, or would you rather rewatch The Tides of Time? I think I'd take the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I think I would as well. Yeah, the memory cheats, as somebody else says. Yeah. But still, but it's just frustrating because there are some great things, because this really could have been the great era that you hear about. Mm-hmm. But for my money, it's not. Yeah. I think it's one of these things you just have to be there and live through it.
Yeah. I guess for me, only the first two stories and maybe the bonus Fourth Doctor story really felt like proper Doctor Who to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff in the middle, not so much. And the moderator was slightly improved, I think, by the artwork. But
yeah, I
think overall, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Just due to how uneven the stories were. Yeah. I don't know. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think a 5 as well. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I did kind of think, just because I enjoy Shade, I was like, oh, do I give it 6? But I was like, no, but Lunar Lagoon was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on comic-only companions? Like, I think they can work well depending. Like, Frobisher, for example, is perfect for the comic strip, but...
Yeah.
And I know it's something Titan has done with the modern Doctors, pairing them with new and different companions, but here it doesn't work for me. Like, any of maybe Maxwell a little bit, but even he was really annoying by the end of his appearance.
Yeah. How come he's the only one to survive? He's infuriating. I mean, I like Sir Justin. I must say I did quite like Sir Justin with because Sir Justin just takes everything in his stride, but he kind of like knows that he's in this strange thing where everything looks like magic, but that's all right. Yeah, I liked him. So I do think that comic-only companions can and do work. I mean, Izzy, for starters. But also, though, it can be, like, one of the things that slightly puts me off delving too far into the Titan comics is the fact that the modern-day versions of the Doctors have companions that I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay. I feel slightly less invested.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah. So whereas I do love the fact that as well as having Frobisher, who is one of my favourite companions, end of story, any medium. I mean the interactions with Perry and everything. That's just great. Yeah, so I do think comics only companions can work. I mean, I remember Doctor Who magazine in like 1988. In fact, that very same first issue I ever bought had its the 25th season poll, and one of the things they asked was, do you want us to have whoever's the companion on TV at the time, or do you want us to kind of have original companions? So it was something that they themselves weren't too sure about. So
yeah, and I think my preference is, where possible, I'd rather see elements from the show and the companions depicted there expanded and drawn out and given more depth in other mediums. But I mean, a comic companion or an audio-only companion can definitely fit into that too. It just depends on how they're approached. And here, I just don't think the characters were strong enough.
Well, it's a bad start having somebody kill
Yeah.
a character you've been spending time with over 2 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends on whether you regard Fiji as the villain, and I don't, and I just
Same.
I really, really dislike Gus.
Yeah. Least favorite companion, perhaps.
Yeah. So it's now no longer Mel, it's Gus.
Well, shall we bid adieu to the tides of time and
Yes.
back away slowly?
Yes. We shall never speak of this again.
Well, let's move on to listener feedback then.
Yes. Listen.
So we have a couple of corrections.
Yeah, we do.
Chris, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so Jay Barry has been in contact with us regarding our Molten Heart episode, where he said that we were mispronouncing one of the characters. So apparently it's pronounced Onyx, not Onks. But he also says that Ruby and Sapphire, who were characters in that, reminded him of Pokemon. Which is true. I'm just thinking, we've had 2 disappointing books on the spin. I kind of hope that I'm about to break this.
I hope so. We'll find out shortly.
We'll find out, yes.
But yes, the correct pronunciation of Onyx is Onyx and not Onks, so duly noted.
Yes.
Dear listener, if you're marathoning our episodes back-to-back at a later date, no need to send in that email you're in the middle of drafting. Rest assured, you can delete it.
Yes.
And the other note is...
Yeah, I got Elliot's age wrong. Elliot is 10 rather than 12. Yes. Sorry, Elliot, and sorry, Elliot's mum.
We did receive an email this month.
Oh, right. Okay.
From...
What did we get wrong?
This is from TJ Rankin in Texas, and he writes, he had the pleasure of reading along with us for the first time for Father Time. He mentions that he's read some of the Eighth Doctor books, but he was generally unimpressed with them, namely The Eight Doctors and Vampire Science. He found Vampire Science just okay, but he actively disliked the Eight Doctors, which he says, disliking Uncle Terry's work is heresy, but it just didn't click with him and felt like unfiltered fan service that served little purpose. But then he says of Father Time that he loved it. He said the ending was a bit unwieldy, but everything leading up to it was great, and he thought Lance Parkin's writing was just so good. And he mentions that media tie-in books can sometimes have bland prose, so to read one that read so wonderfully was great, especially in the context of characters that he cherishes. And then he mentions that he read along with us during the Storm of the Century in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was fortunate enough to have power much of the time and have water and such, but his thoughts go out to those who suffered through that storm. And the silver lining, he said, for all that stress was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where he took the cover of Father Time and he held it up to his backyard, and it matched pretty much perfectly where the line of trees, and it looked like the cover come to life. So
fantastic.
He also mentions that it was kismet that the next book we happened to choose, Molten Heart, was one of the other few Doctor Who novels he owned, so he was looking forward to reading that with us for the second time.
Cool.
Thanks, TJ, for writing in, and
Yeah.
TJ ends with, thank you for all the enjoyment and levity you bring during times of stress. So that was rather nice. Thank you, TJ.
That's lovely. Yes, thank you.
If you want to email us, you can do so at andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to give us your thoughts on The Tides of Time or any of the other books we've read.
Yeah.
And then not so much on the Twitter side this month. Rob Shearman liked a bunch of our tweets. And author of The Witchfinders, Joy Wilkinson, started following the show. So thanks, Joy and Rob.
Yes. Yeah, and we've said nice things about both of them, I think. So, yeah. But also, I don't think either of them have written any full-length original Doctor Who books. So, yeah. Oh, that's cool. And I do hope that Joy Wilkinson is writing something new for the forthcoming new season, because, Yeah,
I really enjoyed her previous script.
Yeah. Right. I think this is where I'm going to be steering the TARDIS to next.
Yes, and we're down to one of 2 doctors remaining in our current cycle. So whomever you don't pick, I get to pick. So I'm waiting with bated breath.
So May 2021 is going to be a special month, because we're going to see the return of Christopher Eccleston to Doctor Who for Big Finish.
That's right. And just 16 years on from the show coming back, too.
Yeah. I mean, it was a day that we thought would never dawn.
That's true.
You know, easy to be done with it. So we are going to be going back to the Ninth Doctor's era. We are going to be reading Winner Takes All by Jacqueline Rayner.
Ah, exciting.
Which is available in sort of ebook format. It will be available in audiobook format, I'm sure. And if you can venture into a library, I think quite a few libraries in the UK have it. Yeah.
And is that the one with, it's got the Slovene on the cover?
No.
Different one.
It's got Rose and the Doctor and what appear to be some skyrise flats. So
very cool.
Yeah. So it will feature. It seems to feature a few characters that we're familiar with. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully this will. Hopefully we'll be going into kind of like the high marks.
And that leaves the Fourth Doctor for me. So
yes, it does.
I'm going to start thinking about that.
Yeah.
Interesting. If it's cool with you, I was thinking we could do 1 or 2 side steps before we pick up a new cycle again.
Yes,
down the line.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
There's all sorts of fun stuff to read. So
yeah,
cool. Well, very much looking forward to Winner Takes All for May then.
Yes.
And until next month, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who Theme Swing Jazz Version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Doctor, do you know this person?
I do, Nissa. Meet Max, a blast from my past, or possibly from my future. He's what you might call a flying saucer nut, in the nicest possible way.
I see.
He stumbled into the TARDIS once, the night that stars fell on Stockbridge.
Oh my goodness.
I wouldn't touch that if I were you.